chest. That's all you need to know. Chant with us. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol haneshama, kol haneshama, tehalelia, tehalelia. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to turn forward in our prayer books to page 24 as we join together in the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צא איתכם לשלום, join us. צא איתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צא איתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צא איתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך 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 הוא.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So, as I introduced tonight, I also want to just a logistical note, I guess, that if people could keep an eye out, if we need more chairs, if people could help make sure that we do, because it looks like we've got people coming in and there are seats toward the back, and maybe Ken Cohen, our president, might be able to help a little bit with directing people. Yeah. Yes. So Friday night is meant to be a joyous night, and not only are we going to do what we normally do on Friday night and honor a family where our newest adult in our community, Stella, will be called up as a bat mitzvah tomorrow, and give her a chance with her family to light the candles and say kiddush, but 3 young people in our community are also getting their Hebrew names today. And so we hear about that a little bit more, but I also want to say, as we light these candles, that I feel like I need Shabbat tonight. This has been a tough week, and I'll speak more about that later, but I think the coming together, the sense of wholeness, the sense of community can be a really powerful statement in front of things that are challenging. And lighting our candles brings light into our lives and light into the world. And so I want to invite us to turn together to page number 2 as I call Stella up to come with her brother and her parents as we prepare to kindle our Shabbat lights.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
We're on page number 5.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho v'afra uvratzon hinhilanu, zikaron lema'aseh pereshi, ki hu yom tehillah lemakre kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidoshta michol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'achavra uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Shkach. We continue our service together on page 20 with L'Chadodi. Please join us.
Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. שמור וזכור בדיבורך, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. Join us. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Shabbat לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נשואה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Verse 5. שלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוניה סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. One more time. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני
Shabbat nikabela.
We're going to remain standing, turning to page 28.
Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai
Baruch Adonai
hamevorach.
Hamevorach
Leolam
Leolam
Vaed.
You may be seated.
Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. Leolam vaed. Leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. Leolam vaed. One more time. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Hamevorach. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach.
Page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravi.
Page 32.
Avat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chokim u'mishpatim Otanu limadita Otanu limadita Aliken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratcha v'mitzvotecha leolam vaed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu ובהם נגה יומם ולילה נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל שמע
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר
אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
Ya da ya ya la la ya la la ya da ya ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la ya la la ya la la mi khamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi khamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora legiro do sefele, nora legiro do sefele. Ma'alehu decharau evanecha, bukei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'amru, Adonai melech le'olam va'ed, Adonai melech le'olam va'ed. One more time on ya ya da ya 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 la la ya ya da ya ya la 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 ya la 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 ya ya la ya la la ya la la ya la.
So we turn the page, page 42, as we join together in the words of Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lishalom, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו, ושמור צאתנו, ובואנו לחיים ושלום, מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, והעמידנו שומרנו. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We turn forward in our prayer book, page 155. And after this opening meditation, asking God to open our lips, we'll move silently into our Amidah, praying to ourselves either the words on the page or the words in our heart through page 167. And when you're finished, you can be seated. So we rise together, page 155.
Adonai, tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Page 164. We join together in the Birkat Shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata umelech Adon lechol Shalom. Ki ata עמך תשים לעולם שלום רע על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם תשים לעולם תשים לעולם.
We take a moment to think of those who are ill and who are in need of healing, who are in need of a refuah shlema, a complete healing of body, mind, soul, and spirit. And so I'll invite us to turn to page 253. And after reading the names on this list, we'll join together in our Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. This Shabbat, we recall the following individuals: Sylvia Mooney, Mimi Jacobs, Joshua Gendel, Ann Rosenberg, Harav Meir Simcha ben Shena, Rav Chaim Eliezer ben Rav Simcha Esther, Eileen Smith, Zachariah Yaakov ben Karen, Kiara D'Agostino, Yehudit Devora Batova Umoshe, Jill Turetsky, Laura Bellamy, Bonnie Horowitz, Laura Ann Ramale, Linda Paintner-Levine, Charlotte Ganzer, Andrea Pinelli, Claude Pomper, Sonia Johns, Renee Jacobson, Jared Miller, Edith Shavat, Minna Seaman, Lila Margolis, Peretz Chanoch, Ben Moshe Ben Mindel, Chanoch Handel, Ben Yitzchak V'Shoshana, Gary Reed, Sharon Rosen, Randy Lowe, Miriam Bat Esther, Joanne Jelsky Fusco, Stephen Raitt, Janet Vendetti, Lillian Wexler, Ed Lillian Schmidt, Eliezer Shammai, Ben Elchanan Halevi, Gittel, Carol Freer, Esther Gittel Bat Rivka, Jerry Hoffman, Gabriel Bat Chava, Sarah Finkelthal, Tegan Kaiser, Bel Swirsky, Andrew Lerner, Gabe Patnoy, Beryl Leib, Ben Pinchas Veruchalea, Miriam Eliora Bat Abraham Vasara, Grant Mellinger, Esther Bat Ruth Vishlomo, Rosalind Wellner, Irving Berner, Liam Gardner, David Ben Henu, Elijah Richards, Chaim Ben Shmuel Yaakov, Elliot Lanoff, Mary Sinelli, Phyllis Nader, Wolf Leib Ben Pesach Esther, Carol Spielman, Diane Felder, Stephen Penny, Roberta Sandler Feld, Barbara Lesser, and Nahum Zalman Ben Rachalea. We add to those names the following:
Dave Eliasson, Schneider Eliasson, Manisha Eliasson.
We turn to page 253.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאימותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of the body, the renewal of the spirit, and let us say Amen.
Deep breath. Shabbat Shalom. It's true that not every Shabbat do we get to celebrate not one but two simchas, but we're just lucky. And so I'm going to invite the whole Helmick Fox mishpacha. Let's make a little circle up here. Dan and Eric and their three fabulously wise and loving and, also pretty adorable. All of you have been part of our Ner Tamid family for now some time. And all right, I guess you could sit on the floor for a second. In just a minute, I'm going to make you stand up. But Eric and Dan, I have watched your whole family just flourish right before my eyes. We met all of you when some of you weren't even born yet. And you have been essential and pillars in our community in even just these few years. And I'm so grateful that you are our future, the three of you, and that I'm glad we didn't name you when you were babies, because now you get to remember this whole cool thing, not to mention have a hand in choosing the names that you will be called throughout your life when you walk in the world proudly as the young Jewish women you are becoming. Well, you're not becoming Jewish women yet. Let's slow down a teeny bit. But we're on our way. And so I'm actually going to ask Eric and Dan and their parents who are here as well to open this talit and to create just the loveliest little home that is much like your beautiful home that I've visited many times that you have, and we're going to hold it open on all of the daughters and have you all stand underneath it as I give you your Hebrew names. Up a little higher. There we go. And so here we go, my dear friends. You can face me if you want, or you can look up. It's up to you. Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imoteinu, our God of our mothers, our fathers, sustain these three fantastically awesome children through their parents. It didn't say fantastically awesome in the Hebrew. Through their parents' loving care. And now I'm going to name each of you. Are you ready? All right. Yikareh Shema b'Yisrael. May your name, Ali, be forever known among the people Israel as Leah bat Ruvain Vidan. Yikareh Shema b'Yisrael. And may you, Hannah, may you be named throughout the people Israel, always known as Chana bat Ruvain Vidan. And may you, Rory, may you, Yikareh Shema b'Yisrael, may your name be known forever throughout the people Yisrael as Rina bat Reuven Vidan. Mi sheberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'yemotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech et hayardot ha'ele. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless all three of you. This is the really important part. Rory, this is the important part. May you all grow up b'shalom, in peace, be'ava, in love, libriut, with health, b'simcha, and in happiness. May your family that is standing around you, these people, but also look out there, that's also your family. May they be blessed to see you each grow in Torah, to stand under the chuppah, and to always be guided by acts, gemilut chasadim, of loving and kindness. May you be blessed with wisdom, clarity, kindness, and honor. And let us say amen. I'm going to invite Rabbi Katz to come and stand next to me because he's also part of your family. Yes. And we're going to deliver the oldest known blessing in our tradition, the Yivarechecha, the threefold benediction. He's going to give you a little special sauce that only Rabbi Katz can give.
And as we do that, I just want you guys to know, you are lucky, right? Look at the people around you, okay? Not only do you have amazing dads, and you need to know they are amazing.
They're amazing.
But you get to grow up with grandparents who are in your lives and who love you. When I was your age, I had a grandma who lived in Florida, and I had one who lived in Puerto Rico, and I lived in Rhode Island. These are grandparents who you see all the time. And so this is as much a celebration of you as it is for the fact that you've got family around you too. And they are the ones who are showering you with love right now.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May God cause God's light to shine upon you and give you grace.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
May God always smile upon you and grant you a life of wholeness and peace.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו מקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. סימן טוב ומזל טוב ומזל טוב סימן טוב סימן טוב ומזל טוב ומזל טוב סימן טוב סימן טוב ומזל טוב ומזל טוב סימן טוב יהיה לנו יהיה לנו יהיה לנו ולכל ישראל 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 מזל טוב. שבח. בום. מזל טוב.
I feel like I needed that. So, this week has been a week. I'm not going to speak about the fact that we almost were in a world war and we're not right now, which itself could have been its own thing. I actually want to speak about the events in Montclair over the past 2 weeks. And I speak about them by way of saying, actually, that next week we have Al Pelham coming to our congregation because it's MLK Day. Al Pelham is the head of the local chapter of the NAACP. And I speak about the events of the past week because I actually don't want next week to be about the past week. I want next week to be looking ahead. I want to talk about civil rights. I want to talk about the relationship between the Jewish community and the African American community in Montclair and in our wider world and what we can build together. And so I'm going to speak about this now in part so we don't speak about it next week. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, there was a community meeting on the 30th of December where a member of our community got up at that community meeting. And in speaking about, the prompt was to talk about gentrification, right? The lack of available housing and the loss of diversity in Montclair. And instead of speaking directly to that, he spoke about a number of these side issues that were really problematic and troubling to us as Jews. Things like what's going on with the ultra-Orthodox community in Lakewood. Things like the fact that people seem to pay more attention to swastikas and signs of hate in our high school rather than talking about race, which is, from a numbers-wise, more of a problem in, let's say, just quantity of incident, right? The sense that, there were these side comments about Israel and about the real meaning of the word Semite. And there's a video online on Facebook that one can look at. I don't want to go point by point with what he said. Instead, I want to speak about the aftermath. Because what happened was the community was rightfully outraged, and he began to get censured by different communities that he was a part of. And over the course of this week, both the cantor and I spent a number of hours in meetings. The first on Monday, where we were called into the mayor's office, basically, and it was all of the Jewish leaders, all 5 congregations in Montclair, together with a whole host of African American leaders, to talk about healing and charting a path forward. In addition, we met with the speaker James Harris, on Thursday morning. We spent about 2.5 hours with him, and he spoke really candidly and also honestly about wanting to learn what was wrong with his statement, and we shared with him the kind of nuances of the way that anti-Semitism works. And then he shared with us an updated statement of apology. And it was clear from the way that he spoke that he really, truly is trying to learn. And with that, we were left with this challenge. Were we going to, in the face of his apology, grant him what amounted to absolution, right? Are we going to say, we forgive you? Are we going to say, we are ready to continue to work with you? And that question is one of the animating questions in this week's Torah portion. And I want to speak a little bit about that as a way to understand the challenge of what it means to forgive. Because in this week's Torah portion, we find the aftermath of an episode that's been going on for about 3 weeks, right? We have Joseph, who was basically a brat to his brothers, and they threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. And Joseph, being a slave in Egypt, because he could interpret dreams, ended up rising to become like the prime minister, the second in command of all of Egypt. And while he was there, he developed this kind of plan, because he had prophecy in his head that there were going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And so he should save the food during the 7 years of plenty and eventually use that food to ration out during those 7 years of famine. And naturally, the brothers, the same ones who threw him into the pit, needed to come to Egypt to ask for food. And after a series of tricks to his brothers, he eventually revealed himself to them. There was something in that moment that made him ready to forgive. And his brothers were ready to trust him once he did, that he wasn't going to hold a grudge against them when he did forgive. Now, all of that is fine, and that's what happened in last week's portion. But in this week's portion, we have this other problem. And the problem is that as soon as Jacob, their father, passes away, which is what happens in this week's portion, the brothers come to Joseph and they lie to him. They say to him, look, when Dad was on his deathbed, he told us to tell you, basically, don't hold our past against us. Continue to forgive us. Continue to love us. Now, this is a lie, but it's a lie that makes sense. Because we don't know what took place right before, but we understand that they are scared. Because when you say to someone that you forgive them, forgiveness itself is a fragile enterprise. And so our rabbis come up with all kinds of different scenarios about why exactly the brothers might have lied to Joseph. They might, for example, have lied because they saw, in the kind of imagination of our rabbis, Joseph, on his way back from burying his father, go to that place of trauma, right? That hole in the ground where they threw him in, and kind of spend a little bit of time there to remember his past. And they thought to themselves, oh no, if he's going to be going there, he's going to remember what it's like to be mad at us for selling him into slavery, and then he's going to take back that forgiveness. They also imagine that Joseph used to invite them over all the time for dinner. And without their father kind of holding them together, Joseph kind of let that slip. And on the first, let's say, Shabbos dinner after their father's funeral, because of the dynamic being broken, they were worried that that meant that Joseph was only forgiving them, only being kind to them because of their father. Now, no matter what the answer was, we see the trepidation in the brothers. These brothers are scared of what the future is going to hold. Because the truth is, they don't know. And I want to say to you, I don't know either. A lot of people over the course of the past number of weeks have come up to me and said to me, what do we do about anti-Semitism? And the answer is, I don't know. I know that we need to greet it with love. I know we need to greet it with compassion. I know that we need to form bonds and be open and create relationships. And when we do that, right, when we have allies in every community, and when we show an openness to have dialogue, that's the way people grow, and that's the way that we together can build the world that we want to. I also know that the immediate answer when someone punches is to punch back. And not just to punch back harder than they have punched. And that's honestly what I've seen, especially around this particular incident with James Harris. I've seen a lot of the Jewish community telling me that we need to punch back real hard. That in this sense of powerlessness, when we finally get a chance to treat anti-Semitism, we need to treat it with strength. What I'll say, though, is that justice, and we actually have a bat mitzvah talking about this in a few weeks, and vengeance is a very fine line. And we have to be careful that we don't cross from justice to vengeance. A kid who draws a swastika on the wall, the bathroom wall of Montclair High School, deserves to be suspended for a few days. He doesn't deserve to have his life ruined, especially if he's willing to learn from it. Someone who gets up at a public meeting and makes anti-Semitic comments deserves to lose some of their standing in the community. But when we do that, we also, if they are contrite and ready to learn, have to offer them an avenue toward teshuvah, right? Repentance, to come back from that. And the scary thing about not greeting the things in our lives with vengeance, but to greet it with the real just answer, is that when we do forgive, and we must begin the process of forgiveness if someone asks for it and means it, we don't have an answer about what the future will hold. We are like Joseph and their brothers, trusting that that peace will be there, trusting that that understanding will be there, trusting that safety will be there, but without a definite answer that it will be. Violence, punching back, asking for much, that is itself more of an answer than trusting in peace and love, which is why we often gravitate toward that as the answer. But the truth is, strength has its limits. Bonds together are actually what grow us and move us forward. The brothers understood the challenge of that, and we need to also. Which is why all of us, all 5 congregations in our area, us, B'nai Keshet, Shomrei Emunah, Temple Shalom, West Essex, and our local Chabad, decided to accept that apology to the best of our abilities, knowing that you can never get into anyone's head, you never know what the future will hold. But knowing that in order to move forward, in order to build bonds, in order to grow our community, in order to have love, you have to be open to the uncertainty of forgiveness. And when you are, only then is there a path forward. Only then can you look forward rather than behind your shoulder at your past. And so, though I've been talking about a specific instance, I want to tell us that every relationship in our lives follows that as well. There is uncertainty in all of us when we forgive. But we have to trust in another person that when we do forgive them, they won't disappoint. And even if they do, we continue to educate. And then we forgive again. And then we hope again that they don't. Change is hard. Change is a process. But every single one of us can facilitate that change in others if we greet them with trust and openness, and we believe in them. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn to page 282 as we rise for Elena.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287, we're seated. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We turn together to page 294. Our thoughts now turn to those we love who have passed from life. As is the way of our people, through our recitation of Kaddish, we honor their lives by praising God for letting us walk at their side and they at ours for even our little time. I invite you, if you are so inclined, to individually rise at your seat as I call the name of your loved one. Yard sites for this Shabbat are Israel Alter, Herman Barron, Ida Becker, Max Bloom, Malcolm Cole, Kate Krasnopel, Eleanor Dobro, Daniel Geller, Hyman Glantz, Francis Glick, Henry Goldberg, Jake Goldberg, Sadia Hodes Gould, Charles Gruber, Bertha Haas, Ellen Handler, John Hartman, Dittbrenner Jr., Max Hirsch, Herbert Holtzman, Morton Hyman, Ben Katz, Esther Kimmel, Gerald Klein, Carl Kramer, Jane Landberg, Eddie Levy, Harry Mackler, Benjamin Mabey, Eunice Michelson, Leon Milden, Marie Claire Miller, Paul Nagorny, Stanley Perlmeter, Julian Reichman, Laura Seltzer, Rose Stein, Sally Strumpf, Esther Wagman, Robert Weiss, and Irvin Yaffe. And for those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning, Stephen Fishman, father of Mark Archer, Mildred Rudolph, mother of Paula Minsky, Stanley Shapiro, father of Daniel Shapiro, and Barbara Neckers and Donald Neckers, parents of Larry and Harris Neckers. And though customary not to formally announce their names as part of Shiva and Shloshim, there are two other deaths that I want to announce in our community too. The first is Ken Fischetti, husband of Lynn Abelson, who we announce his death before he's put to burial, which will be tomorrow. And there'll be a gathering at Lynn's house tomorrow night and Sunday, and we offer our sincere condolence to you and your family. And also Alan Smith, father of Carrie Lawyer, who will be laid to rest in Florida on Sunday. And though the notice hasn't gone out to the congregation, it will soon, with information on how we might support the Lawyer family. In addition, I'll invite us to rise and share the name of anyone for whom you are observing yard site that may not have been on this list. And finally, if there's anyone here who, I'm sorry.
The rubber ready from your side.
And finally, if there's anyone here who is in their 1 year period of mourning, I'll invite you to share their name now.
Sarah Tamar bat Yitzchak v'Chava.
And now in support of those standing before us and in memory of the 6 million, I'll invite us to rise, and if it is your custom, to join with the mourners in the recitation of Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימלך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקדושה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Please be seated. So before we move into our closing song, just a few announcements. Tomorrow morning, we begin with two different things at 9 a.m. We have our meditation group, which is going to be meeting in here, and our Tot Wake Up Shabbat, which will be in the library. And then at 10 a.m., we have our service as Stella becomes Bat Mitzvah. In addition, there's a number of other things going on. I want to talk just briefly about next weekend. Next weekend is MLK weekend, and our community has two different ways to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. The first, as I mentioned, is that Al Pelham, the head of the local chapter of the NAACP, is going to be coming to our congregation, and we're really excited about that. In addition, on Monday, we're going to be joining in solidarity with the whole community, all religions, all races, together in one place at Unitarian Universalist Church at Montclair to really celebrate Dr. King's legacy in one big community.
At 12 noon.
At 12 noon. And I just want to say, this, I'll be writing to the community as well, but this year specifically of years, I think it's all the more important for our community to really unite and come together in this kind of event. And so whether you're going to come on Friday, whether you're going to come on Monday, whether you're going to come both days, come one of those times. Other announcements for just the short term.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I guess I'll say on February 7th, please mark your calendars because it is our annual Artist in Residence, and this year we are bringing the wonderful Stonewall Chorale. They are the first and longest ever lesbian and gay, they're also everybody else now, chorus who's been singing together for quite a long time, and last year they premiered a very important piece at Carnegie Hall called Quiet No More in commemoration of the 50th year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. Please come, please support sort of rising voices, truly rising voices up together for equality, for compassion and love and forgiveness in all the ways that Rabbi Katz spoke of. And we are so grateful to Margin Paul Grayson in particular for once again making it possible for us to bring an extraordinary artist.
So there's a ton more going on. Just read your emails.
321.
And we're on page 321 for our closing song.
And a little love for our band, as always. Adonolam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra let nasa v'chefto kol azay melech shemo nikra adonolam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra adonolam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra let nasa v'chefto kol azay melech shemo nikra v'acharei kiklot hakol לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היום והוא הווה והוא יהיה בציפר אדון עולם take one.
Take
You one,
one,
take
take
one.
one.
Ready?
And then you're going to help me pass it out, all right? Ready? And so we say together, Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Motzi
hamotzi
lehem
min haaretz b'tei avon.
Make sure
Shabbat
to
shalom.
introduce yourself to someone new and Shabbat
Go
shalom.
hand it out to everybody. Go. We have our waiters are going to bring you challah.